I'm here to kill chaos. That's my mission. Looks like chaos has been waiting for us.
You gonna make us go in there and find you?
Guess we'll just show ourselves in.
I only know one thing. I want to kill chaos. I need to. It's not a hope or a dream. It's like a hunger. Thirst.
Move aside!
It's E3 2021. You know what? I was gonna say day 2, but I don't. I've decided this year. Okay, so previously it was like I would go in chronological order, but this year I divvied stuff up so that nobody had to just get the crap end of the stick and get like the PC gaming show, the wholesome direct, and the future game show plus Borderlands. Like, I wanted everybody to have something that they were interested in.
That's fair.
And Michael, as my resident Avengers person,
Yes.
I gave you Avengers, I gave you Monster Hunter, but I also did give you Borderlands. So
You did.
Welcome back, everybody.
You gave me Randy Pitchford is what you gave me.
I gave you the gift of Randy Pitchford. You're
non-refundable gift.
welcome. Welcome back to E3. I'm going to call this part 2. Not day 2. Part 2, E3 2021. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mike.
We're doing Square, we're doing Capcom, we're doing Gearbox, and we're doing the Future Game Show, maybe some parts
of it, yeah.
This fucking 90 minits of trailers.
We'll just talk about Troy Baker the whole time.
Oh, geez. He's so entertaining, you guys. I don't know why I went all Canadian for that, but like, oh, geez, you guys.
Is Baker Canadian?
He knows what he's talking about. I don't know. But before,
he's a nice guy, though.
Before we jump in, what are your thoughts about E3 this year? We're kind of done with it as of recording this. Like, there's some dregs. There was like a Microsoft thing today with some Halo stuff, but it's more just like the Microsoft version of Treehouse. But what has your overall E3 2021 feelings been like?
It was a very light E3 this year.
Mm-hmm.
Enough to the point where only people on Twitter were talking about Batman Cunnilingus for longer than they were E3. Because normally it's the other way around, I would assume.
Yeah.
Where E3 would dominate the Twitter conversation among nerds, but there was only so much that they could talk about, so they veered off into a different direction.
Do you think that shifting it so that it started on Saturday maybe did that, where like when it's during the week, like more people are just like, they're at work, they're doing stuff, and then they're just watching the E3 streams and commenting on it, whereas like, if you're having your E3 show in the middle of a Sunday afternoon, you'd be like, bitch, I got brunch to go to. Like, I am off work today, I'm not going to sit in front of Twitch for 12 hours like watching shit.
No, I think it's just there wasn't enough announcements to get people pumped.
Yeah,
because all it takes is like specific announcements for people to lose their shit. The best example of that is 2015's E3, where Sony had the wish list announcements set up of Final Fantasy VII and like Shenmue and all this crazy shit.
Yep.
And people wouldn't stop talking about it for days.
True.
Whereas this year it was just like, well, Forza looks like Forza.
Right.
It's kind of nice.
I don't know.
Halo's Halo. Like everything that was announced for the most part, except for Nintendo stuff, has really dominated.
Yeah,
what's going on? Like Nintendo's the only thing that I've consistently seen people talking about still, whereas with Xbox it was just like, this is kind of neat. And then same with even Square, same with no one talked about Gearbox, to be honest. I haven't seen anyone fucking mention Gearbox at all.
Capcom's a nothing burger, man. We're gonna cover that shit in 10 minutes.
I saw one person say something about Capcom that I completely agree with. Andy Cortez of Kind of Funny, where he's like, the Capcom thing is the kind of thing you would see in between E3 things, or if you were at a GameStop, but like in the background,
running in a GameStop, yeah,
like because it's just so short, like it's nothing.
It's like when you go see a new movie and you've already seen all the trailers, and you're just like,
exactly,
fuck, because you know what, like,
it's not even the trailers, it's the pre, like Cinemark or whatever has the pre thing,
the 15 or whatever it was called.
It's just like that
horseshit. I was saying in the last podcast, I'm probably saying it in the next one, so everybody can repeat yourself. But if you get mad at that, you should probably just go to a different channel.
Stuff will get repeated.
But like, for me, the most exciting thing about E3 is when you either have an announcement that's so titanic that like you didn't know it was happening, you never saw it coming, and you're just like, I am so excited for that. Or the best ones are, I didn't know that was happening. I'm so excited for it. And guess what? It's out before the end of the year.
Oh, yeah.
And there was like 2 of those.
There was a couple of those.
There were 2, but for the most part, it's like we knew, I talked with Bryce about the Xbox show and like, yeah, we knew Halo was a thing. I mean, Starfield should have been interesting, but it was just a cinematic trailer. And it's like, okay, well, it's nice that I saw some pre-rendered spaceships, but what the fuck is this game?
Yeah, the most interesting thing about its announcement was them confirming it was an exclusive.
Right.
Which, the only thing that dominated the internet was people being mad kind of thing.
Sure.
And I don't care because, like you said, it's just cinematic stuff. I'm like, I don't even know what this game is. It could be an RTS for all I know. Like, I have no fucking idea.
Yep. So it's been a weird year, and I think I'm curious, but I'm willing to put down a little bit of my who's that financial analyst ever? I'm willing to put on my Michael Pachter hat and be like, I think that next year is going to be a banger because I think there's a lot of stuff that got pushed back because of COVID that's going to end up coming out next year, and that because last year some stuff got pushed back, but a lot of that stuff was in the end. It was in the end part of development.
Yeah.
Whereas the stuff that was in mid-development probably got slowed way down from the COVID and working from home and that kind of stuff.
That's the thing. A lot of working from home stuff is starting to end right now.
Yeah.
And so I think that you're right on the money about maybe next year is going to be the time where they're going to show off all the stuff.
Yeah.
Because I've heard a lot of things about working from home for game devs is very, very difficult.
Yes.
So mostly because you have to keep downloading a build over and over again. Your internet's only so fast for how big these games are. It's just not.
There's security concerns.
Yeah.
There's communications concerns where, once upon a time I worked as a QA tester and you could just walk over to a developer's office and be like, hey, man, did you fix that thing yet? And they're like, no, fuck off. You're subhuman. You're like, okay. But you can't do that or you can do that on Slack, but the other person can be trying to get their kid into a Zoom meeting. And so what are you going to do?
The other part is that I was reading, speaking of Avengers, one of the new guys they got to be on Avengers, he's a guy who worked for Marvel Heroes, that old RPG thing that they did years ago.
Yeah, we talked about it on one of the podcasts.
And he was saying of the fact that QA testers don't have a good way of playing the new builds right now because of the fact that they'd have to download something maybe, or they can try doing it over online, but their internet's gonna they're at the whim of their service provider.
Yeah.
So he's just like, yeah, shit's fucked right now. is what the guy kept saying.
Yep.
And that was just that guy. Imagine plenty of other places are having issues with that.
Absolutely. Well, we got a lot to get through today, and I will be honest, if you were to tell me before E3 2021 started that one of the most exciting things of all of E3 2021 was going to come out of the fucking Square Enix show, I would have slapped you upside the face and then apologized for being so hasty and slapping you. That's not cool, but that's ridiculous. Have you heard Jeff talk about Square Enix? I fucking hate him so much.
They're one of those studios that I'm like, I love, but I also hate these guys at the same time.
Yeah, but Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, holy shit.
This what came out of Eidos Montreal is what?
The Deus Ex guys.
Deus Ex, Mankind Divided, Deus Ex Human Revolution, and then they also made Shadow of the Tomb Raider in 2018, which I didn't really play, but I hear was good. But they're making a single player, and that's the thing is that this thing looked like it could have been an online shit show because there's multiple characters, but they're making Guardians of the Galaxy game, and it looks great. It looks so fucking good,
man. It looks fantastic. I had forgot there were rumors this game was being made.
Yeah.
And that was the thing, is they were just rumors. There was no confirmation or anything. There was no other announcements prior to this. That's what makes it so surprising.
Yeah.
Because not only did they announce it, but it's fully fucking
It's out in October.
And it's out at before the year's over, and you're like, what the fuck?
Right. And it seems like it's okay. So it's a third-person action game. You're playing as Star-Lord, but then it also has some weird Mass Effect dialogue choice stuff.
Yeah, it's got your dialogue matters.
Rocket will remember that.
Yeah, shit like that. And I'm like, that's fascinating. The only downside I've seen people say is that they're not a big fan of only having to use Star-Lord, which I can kind of see that. But I would have only used Star-Lord myself. So
I mean, it also looks like when we see, because this is also one of the very few things I feel like we saw at E3 where they showed a sizzle trailer, but then they also showed a gameplay chunk. And I can see a little bit of that, but in the gameplay chunk, we saw that definitely it's a third-person action game, but then there's going to be some synergy attacks where you can build up, and then Gamora hit this guy, and it's kind of like using a power. It reminded me a little bit of like God of War, the way that you use the boy to hit stuff.
That's probably the best way of like putting it.
But it was like it's like Avengers, where it's like a cross between the cinematic universe and the comic universe.
Yeah.
It was really funny. Like, it was kind of derivative. Some of the jokes were derivative of stuff I feel like I've seen, but there's that one section of the trailer where Drax is like, we should disrobe now, and they're like, keep your fucking pants on, Drax. So no, it was fun. It was interesting to see it. Like, the graphics look good. It sounded good. The only problem we're gonna have to bring this up. Yeah, is that fucking Square? I don't know how Square doesn't have the moxie to tell Twitch, hey, turn off your fucking your fucking DMCA music things, because when the first trailer has Michael's favorite song, "Holding Out for a Hero."
Yeah, I love that song.
In the background.
I don't care if it's been 3 different things this week. Put it in everything. I don't give a fuck.
It was also in Loki.
Yeah, it was in Loki. It was the He-Man trailer.
Yep.
It's in my dreams.
But like they stripped the music out of this entire show on the Twitch presentation.
Well, they had the super generic set of music for the announcement for some reason, which was even weirder because other games did not have the same thing.
Yeah, and not
I'm
just
like,
that,
how
but
did that even happen?
But there's a part during the gameplay demo where the Peter Quill does his like ultimate and everybody powers up, and when he like turns on his Walkman and it plays Bad Reputation by Joe Jett or something like that, and it was like, oh, this is really cool when you see it here. And then on the Twitch one, it's like, well, looks really good, but it's like, it just goes to show that music matters.
Oh, 100%.
And like, having this licensed music that they obviously paid for was great, and not having it on the Twitch show was like baffling. I mean, I guess it wouldn't be E3 if there wasn't a company that didn't know how to fucking do regular shit, but
it was weird.
It was so weird.
And we haven't even talked about the ones that just outright didn't have music in it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, this one at least had music, but it was very generic rock sounding stuff.
Mm-hmm. Some of them were just sound effects.
Yeah.
It was so weird.
So weird. But but Dan Abnett, second time we've heard his name this past week. The writer for Marvel as well as apparently Warhammer stuff.
Is Dan Abnett the hero that they're holding out for in that song? Is that why that song keeps coming up?
Maybe. I don't know.
Is he writing Loki right now?
I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. But apparently Dan Abnett has written some of the best Guardians of the Galaxy stuff in a long time. He helped write Annihilation Conquest, which is a sequel to Annihilation.
Okay.
Which was a galactic Marvel title kind of thing. So he knows these characters really, really well, apparently.
Good. I mean, it all just looked like this is what I come to E3 for. Is like, I had no idea that this was happening, and it looks great, and I can't wait to play it. I'm going to get to play it in October. It looks funny. The action looks good. I like the banter between the various people. It looks like a solid goddamn single player video game that I really can't wait to put inside of my console and fucking play for 12 hours or whatever. It was
probably my favorite surprise of the stuff we're going to talk about today.
100%. 100%. This is the high point. We're starting on the highest point.
Yeah, the highest point.
Only goes downhill from here.
Which is why it's really funny that Square decided to do that.
Yeah.
Because it makes Avengers look awful by comparison.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too because hey man, this is Rage Select, so you're gonna hear the Jeff's greatest hits, right? But like, why is there not a game like this for every Marvel property? Like, why wasn't there like a Captain America game that looked this good or an Iron Man game that looked this good? Like, why is it that we got weirdly Guardians of the Galaxy and then like the crappy generic Avengers Online game for the main quote-unquote Avengers game? Because I don't know anybody who isn't excited by this. Everybody that I know seems like they're very excited by this.
Yeah,
so
it was such a surprise. It's obvious that they care a lot, and the fact that like even the little montage of all the people talking, they're just like, look, we give a shit about this, and it shows 100%.
I read an article with them where they were just like, they asked them about like whether, about like why not multiplayer, and they were like, well, we looked at it, we decided that you can't really tell a very good story in an always online multiplayer games of service kind of thing, and we wanted to tell a really good story, so we said nope, it's gonna be single player.
Thank God for that. Thank fucking God for that.
So yeah, we have to move on though, because
we should.
We've got a lot to go through.
I could literally just only talk about this game.
It's so fucking great. if you only watched it on Twitch, definitely go watch the trailer with the 80s music in it because it's really good.
They've already announced a bunch of stuff for it too, apparently, costume wise. So that's pretty exciting.
From there, we went on to Final Fantasy. Okay, this is the thing I didn't understand. Like, this is the worst trailer. The Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster.
Yeah, what the fuck is going on with that one?
Okay, I'll tell you. So all of the Final Fantasy 1 through 6 are on various platforms. They're on phones, they're on Steam, they're on stuff. But a lot of them are like these weird mobile versions. Some of them have different weird translation problems. Some of them have different interfaces because they were made to be interfaced with on phones. So they don't have like the old menus and stuff. Apparently, after being asked for years, Square is just putting out like OG pixel for pixel versions of Final Fantasy 1 through 6. So, because it's actually a lot harder to play these games than you may realize.
No, yeah, I remember you talking specifically about how hard it is to play 6.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Yeah. Like, you can get the Final Fantasy Origins or like the PlayStation CD ones, but then like it's like the music is wrong there, and then like the SNES
3D models too. I think in some of those.
Yeah, and some of the ones they had out were only were those remakes, those DS remakes.
Yeah.
So like they're putting out all of those. But then the announcement was only for Steam and cell phones,
which is weird.
It's just like, what the fuck? Put it on the Switch, you cowards!
It's
like,
so weird.
Come on, that's where I want to play it. That's where I want to fucking play Final Fantasy is on the Switch.
It would be the best place to put it, though.
I mean, I'm sure, like, given their track record, it'll be everywhere eventually. But that's good. But it's like, this should have been done 5 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe even. Like, come on.
Spent all their money on Final Fantasy VII and Kingdom Hearts, apparently.
Yeah. We also got a cinematic trailer for Legend of Mana. That's the last of the Mana games they're putting out. Cool. I don't really have much to say about that outside
It's the Legend of Mana. That's kind of neat.
Yep. Legend of Mana is coming out. From there, we went to Michael's favorite game, The Avengers.
Yes. Yeah, if you watched the Twitch version of this announcement, it was the most awkward thing on the planet.
It was the one that had like no music.
It had no music.
Yeah.
Like whatsoever. It was all just sound effects and people being like, yeah. And it was like, this makes the game look really boring.
They talked about the updates that they're doing with Monica Rappaccini, and then they had another trailer for War for Wakanda.
Yes, watch the actual trailer with music because it is kind of is a nice little song that they put on.
Yep, it looks good. I mean, it's just like the reputation of Avengers at this point is as a very, I don't know. To me, it's like Destiny, where I'm like, that looks good, but I mean, maybe I'll load it up and play it and see how it goes, but I can't see myself continuing to play it because at the end of the day, after the campaign is over, it's just going to be raids and like...
That's kind of the thing about the game is that it reminds me of the way Destiny was when it first came out.
Yeah.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, like you said. Like, I really like this plot, and then once you're done with the plot, it's like, well, now what?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But like Destiny, it's getting enough stuff as time goes on where I'm like, at least this time around, I don't feel... screwed over by it.
Yeah.
Because the only reason I felt kind of screwed over by the Destiny one is that, like, I never felt all that much interested in the shooter stuff of it. Whereas, at least in this game, it's like, well, I'm using Captain America, and he works really, really well.
Right.
And same with all these other characters. And so I ended up finding myself turning it back on every now and then consistently since I've gotten it. I'm still playing this thing even now. So I'm very excited for more content. So, yeah.
Yep. Not much more there. I mean, outside of just the expansion.
And it's all free, so that's cool.
From there, Diana Burnwood came on and started talking about Agent 46 or something, and I was just like, and it's the sniper. It's the cell phone game. Yeah. So I don't give a shit.
You were so excited. I remember, like, because we were using the Twitch chat, and you were like, oh my god, what is it? And then it's like, it's just a phone game.
There's a very short teaser for Nier Reincarnation. Final Fantasy Brave Exvius is getting the Warrior of Light. And then we had the Final Fantasy VII, the First Soldier. Those were basically all of the cell phone things that they talked about.
And the First Soldier thing, I think, is weird. It's fascinating. Like, it's a fascinating idea, but it's a battle royale phone game.
Yeah,
which is really strange.
It is the Nier game is like a gachapon RPG, so like it's nothing about phones makes any fucking sense.
I felt really bad for that guy that was in our chat. He's like, more Nier, and then you made a gag. It's like, it'll be a mobile game, and then it happened.
It is a mobile game. I signed up for the beta. I played it on my phone. Like,
okay.
They kept asking me to provide feedback, and I was like, no,
never.
You can figure it out yourself. Okay, I'm interested to hear what you thought about Babylon's Fall, which is a platinum game. Games as service.
I forgot it.
You forgot about it?
Okay, so here's the reason.
That's a good sign right
there.
there.
No, it's not. Yeah, here's the reason I forgot about it. Is this like multiplayer fucking thing that looks really uninteresting?
Yep.
It's like by like a lot, which is a shame because anything that's a new platinum should sound exciting, but we it's been long enough that we know that platinum doesn't always come out with gold.
Yep.
So this might be one of those misses that I'm like, maybe it'll be fine. Like, I don't know, maybe if I get my hands on it, I'll have some interest in it. But
you know what it reminds me of?
Yeah.
Godfall.
Oh God, yeah. That was the thing. That was the thing I was going to say, is that it reminds me of a somehow even worse looking version of Godfall.
Yep. Well, yeah, at least Godfall had these really slick visuals, right?
Yeah. Godfall has a lot of nice stuff going for it visually, whereas this looks like a PS3 game.
You know what it looks like? It looks like a Bandai Namco action JRPG that like nobody but me knows about, that came out on the PS4 2 years ago.
That's exactly what it looks like.
And the thing is that it's possible. I mean, I don't know. There was some interview stuff where they were talking about it. The problem right now is that Square has kind of poisoned the well for live service, because it's like, you didn't make it work with Avengers.
No.
So like, I don't trust you to make this work. Like, and I know, just like you said, Platinum is uneven. Sometimes they put out games that are good, and sometimes they put out games that are not so good.
And sometimes they're games that you're legitimately excited for.
Yep.
Like that Ninja Turtles game is a good example of that.
Yep.
You're like, oh, this is going to be great. A Ninja Turtles Platinum game. No, it was not. It was not great. It was terrible.
Yep. Or Astral Chain.
Astral Chain was a weird...
I tried so hard to get into that game. I just couldn't do it. Like,
that one's a weird one, because it's like some people really liked it, but some just never even played it.
Yeah.
It's a weird one. Yeah, that's the thing, is Platinum's always been hit or miss, and that game was so miss that I forgot it existed.
Yeah. So, well, this is actually going a lot faster than I thought it was going to. But yeah, it looked very uninteresting. It looked very generic. I mean, this is the problem with, being a 40-year-old video gamer that has played like every game under the sun, is that, I mean, in a vacuum, right? Like hundreds of artists work for thousands of hours to create all of these like lighting effects and monster designs and crafting. And it's just like, meh, hand wave, pass,
I feel kind of bad about it, but yeah, it's not interesting enough for me to go anywhere with it.
Maybe if there's like more, I guess, I was going to say maybe if there's like a more of a story trailer, but I think that last year there was just a story trailer with no action in it, and I was like, well, this is bullshit. What does it look like? Show me the game. And then they showed it to me, and I'm like, hand wave, nope.
I'm good.
I don't care.
I like how they keep showing Nier, though, to be like, hey, remember when we made good games? We're pretty cool, right? It's like, stop doing that, guys. Stop it.
I think that it's I don't think the Platinum does very well when there's an overlord company breathing over their shoulder.
It varies, but I get what you mean 100%.
Yeah, like I think that's probably what happened with Scalebound.
I forgot about that.
C3, we got to bring up Scalebound,
Yeah, that's true. Scalebound is the one of the big ones where it's like, this looks like it could be pretty cool, and then nothing ever happened.
Look on the bright side, Michael. At least Borderlands 3 finally came out.
Did it, though? Yeah, it did.
I liked that game. Let's see. From there, I apologize, but, we're going into Life is Strange territory, and I feel like I'm going to talk about this a lot with Capcom, but, I've watched, like, over the summer or over the winter, they had like a full-on just
Square,
Life
right?
is... What's that?
You're talking about Square, right?
Yes.
You accidentally said Capcom. So.
I'm sorry, Square.
So I was like, what?
Square had like a full-on talking about Life is Strange True Colors.
Life is Strange versus Capcom. I'll play that.
Like, they talked about it for quite some time, and they went into detail about a lot of the details, and this is like a very light version of that same thing. and there's just not a lot of new information here. Life is Strange is getting remastered.
It looks nice.
It looks very nice, and they've redone stuff. And if you like Life is Strange, I'm sure that this is great. And Life is Strange True Colors also looks really good. And if you're into Life is Strange, I'm sure you'll really like it. But there's just not a lot more here than we've seen in previous presentations.
Yeah.
It's one of the problems I have with, what? I'm going to call out a specific game. It's a problem that I have with Monster Hunter Stories 2 because there was a whole fucking direct about it.
Okay.
And then it's in the Capcom one and it's in the Nintendo one. And it's just like, guys, like, I get it. I don't know. It's weird.
This one appeared in a lot of stuff too, didn't it?
Life is Strange. Yes, I believe so.
'Cause there's a new one coming out, which is that they showed off. Again, if you watch the Twitch version of the stream,
it's so bad.
There was no music to it, even though they bring out the musician who's like, "Listen to all my good music," and Twitch is like, "The fuck you are,"
Yep,
which is really really funny.
At one point, it felt to me like there wasn't music, and that somebody had accidentally not checked the box of like let Twitch sub in music if there isn't some, because there was at one point that just started playing this super generic music that had nothing to do with what was over it in the background, and I'm like, was Twitch like auto playing this music behind their footage because it's so silent that Twitch is like, well, there should definitely be music
Gotta
here.
be something here. But I don't know. Life is Strange is one of those games that's like, I get why people like them a lot.
Yeah.
They're literally just not for me.
Yeah.
Like if you guys want to see one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life, watch the Life is Strange Rage Select episodes.
Oh, great! I played
Jeff and Grant, because it's them making fun of the exact type of thing it is. Like, it's not for us.
Yep.
Like, we fucking get that from the get go, and you can see it in those videos where you and Grant are just like, I fucking hate the artsy bullshit this shit is.
Wow,
But
the 16-year-old hipster girls with superpowers. That's not a thing.
no.
And here we're a bunch of 40-year-old men like trying to just hate these 16-year-old girls. Yeah.
It's just a bunch of hipster, like, at least for some of them. Some of them are very much just about hipster women dealing with not hipster problems, but like dealing with problems that are like would sound interesting sometimes, but you just don't really. But the way it's presented, it just doesn't feel interesting to me. And I know plenty of women who love these games, and I get it because they can sympathize with it more than I could.
Yep.
So it's like, good for you all, but I don't give a fuck about these games.
No, I do think this new one. I've been on record though. Is I do think this new one looks really good. Like it looks like they've upped their game a little bit with the facial capture and the motion capture and stuff. So, from there we finally got a look at chaos, Michael.
Yes.
So much chaos, and by that I mean they said the word chaos like 150
100,000 times. Although it's a name, which makes it that much funnier to me.
Yeah.
Because for you who don't know, Chaos is the name of a character in Final Fantasy 1.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So this is Team Ninja is making a Neo-style game in the Final Fantasy 1 universe called Final Fantasy Origin. And it is wild. It is buck wild. You know what? This is the one that reminds me so much of Nier Automata.
Yeah.
In that it's like, it doesn't have any of the stink of Square on it, or maybe let me put it this way: it doesn't have any Nomura stink on it. Like this is made by fucking Team Ninja, right? Nobody's making them make like accessible combat. Like the first goblin in the game almost killed me when I was playing it.
Oh jeez.
And it's so weird and it's so esoteric, and like the music is off and the character designs are all off and the environments are real funky looking. Like it's so strange. They put out a demo on the PS5, I think it's PS4 and PS5, and I played it, and it was very, very, very weird and very Neo. Not as hard. It doesn't have like the stamina management stuff from Souls.
Okay.
But it is like challenging in a lot of ways. And it is an interesting RPG. It's just like, okay, if somebody was like, we're going to make a third-person action game in the Final Fantasy 1 universe, what other games aesthetic should we channel for this? The answer to me would never have been fucking Devil May Cry.
No.
Because that's what this game looks like, you know?
It looks like a Devil May Cry with some Soul stuff in the middle of it. It looks nothing like what you think a Final Fantasy world in general will look like.
No, I mean,
except for like the one,
except for Garland.
except for
Garland looks like Garland.
Looks like Garland. You're like, he's the only one that you're like, oh, that's right. This is a Final Fantasy game.
Like there's these three guys. They're like the Warriors of Light, and they look like Noctis's buddies by way of Devil May Cry.
Yeah.
Like the main character is just wearing like in this trailer like a shirt that's cut wrong. Like it looks like it's a shirt you bought at like Hot Topic in the 90s. Not it's not even medieval. It's got a bunch of weird buttons, and it's obviously like elastic.
Yeah, he looks like he fell in from the wrong game.
Yeah.
Like just. And they're just like, okay, you're part of Final Fantasy now. And he's like, okay, cool.
And this one guy is like got pink lightning hair.
But he's
like,
the only one of the three that kind of looks like he would come from.
He's a sass.
From like a modern Final Fantasy game.
Yeah, he's this big sass monster. He's full of sass.
And the guy on the right just looks like, yeah, again, a guy who just came into the wrong fucking game.
Right. And I don't know if like you're gonna get different. Like these are supposed to be the Warriors of Light. I guess.
I was like okay, like, yeah, we're the Warriors of Light. I'm like, are you sure?
Yeah.
The Warriors of the Hot Topic down the street. I think.
I don't know. I encourage everybody that has a PlayStation to go try this out because it is bizarre.
I couldn't stop thinking of All Might though, because Garland's voice clearly by Christopher Sabat doing his All Might voice.
Oh, okay.
And so it's just like, oh, okay. This is getting weirder for me.
It's so bizarre. It's so strange, and I love it. I'm here for it.
It's a bold new vision for Final Fantasy, as the tagline says.
Because well, here's the thing. Again, like I said before, I think that Square sucks. Just every they suck the whole butt at making like real-time action games. I don't think they make very good action games.
No.
I think they make action games that are acceptable and that have stories and characters and stuff that people like. Like, I'm not going to say that I don't think that like Kingdom Hearts is a bad game, but I don't think anybody's playing that purely for the combat system.
No.
Like Final Fantasy VII is an interesting take on a real-time action RPG game, but I don't think that anybody's like, man, you know what feels good is just the simple act of playing Final Fantasy VII, the same way that like it's viscerally like Neo 2 I loved, and it was viscerally fun to play. You know, like in Dirge of Cerberus, and like, you know, every time they make an action game, like they're fine, they're acceptable,
yeah,
but they don't excel at that. Whereas here, they've done the thing. But the last time that it was any good was when Platinum made it in Nier, right? Yeah. And then here, it's like, okay, we're going to give this to a team that knows how to do their bread and butter is third-person action. And boom, you got something really crazy and interesting. So this is the first thing I've been interested outside of Guardians, which is obviously a third-party project. This is the first like Final Fantasy thing that I'd be interested in a long time, and I'm real interested in it. So there you go.
It's fascinating.
I'm back, baby.
It's 100% one of the most fascinating things I've ever seen, and I actually am very curious as to where it's going to go.
Yep. And that was it. That was their one more thing. They had a kind of a like, here's stuff coming soon, and it's only PlayStation 5, the demo. I'm sorry, PS4 people. I'm sorry. I've gotten really bad about mentally internalizing the fact that like these new consoles are very scarce and they're not available for a lot of people. But so I apologize to people who don't have that. I'm sorry.
I apologize to you plebeians.
If I could, hey man, like if there was a Switch in my house that was like make PlayStations and Xboxes available for purchase, I would totally turn it to the on position. Yeah, I wouldn't like leave it on off for some sociopath.
I kept forgetting that like not everybody we know has one, because I was watching the Ratchet and Clank video you did with Jason. And Jason's just like, I don't have one, so fuck you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah, fuck. Didn't even think about that.
So at the very end, we got a montage of stuff that is either previously... This is what I want from all the other conferences. Stuff that was previously announced or is actually out right now.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy Intergrade, Nier Replicant, Outriders, The World Ends With You, a few other things. The Final Fantasy 14... Forspoken, or that one that they showed off at their other conference.
Oh, yeah.
With the lady that looked really good. Final Fantasy 14, all that good stuff. So that was Square, which, I'll be honest, man, it feels weird to say this, but between that Final Fantasy, that wackadoo Final Fantasy and Guardians of the Galaxy, like the middle may have been a little draggy, but the beginning and the end were both fantastic for me. So
this thing, I think Square was one of my favorites. They're not favorites, but there wasn't a lot for a lot of the other ones, so I can't really. Me saying that Square was my favorite is just me going, Square had stuff in there that I wanted,
right?
Kind of thing. Like when it came to Guardians, when it came to maybe that Final Fantasy game. I'm still playing Avengers, so I like the stuff that I saw from Avengers, kind of thing. So it's like there are at least 3 things in there that I was interested in.
Yeah,
which is more than I can say for some of the other ones that we've seen.
I don't know. Michael. Okay, before we move on, because these next 2 are going to be so fast, and we're only 35 minutes into this, so which I
you want to go talk about Guardians again?
No, I didn't expect Square to go so fast, but like it just went by. So Xbox, like I went back over Xbox with Bryce on the first thing, and like there is some exciting stuff in there, but I think that I'm running into a thing this E3 where like an hour. Okay, depending on how your conference is laid out, an hour is a good sweet spot to like focus on games, show a trailer, and then talk a little bit about a game, and then move on to the next thing. But a lot of them, like Microsoft did this, and definitely the PC Gaming Show did this. It's just too many things where I can't even remember everything, right?
Well, that's the thing. Like Xbox announced some stuff that I was interested in, but a lot of it was just cinematic stuff.
Right.
So it was hard to remember that they even happened.
Right.
Especially since like the last, 10, 15 minutes went to Forza.
Right, yeah.
And I was just like, I don't care about any of this. But it got stuck in my head because they talked about it for so much.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
I mean, it keeps slipping out of my brain that they announced the Outer Worlds 2.
Yeah,
like,
that's exactly the only reason I remember it is because the trailer was so funny.
Redfall, Red something, the
Redfall, I think was the
arcane
name of it.
one at the very end.
Which was also kind of neat.
Yeah, which I mean, there's good stuff there. It's just like there was just so much of it, and then there was so much sprinkled in that I didn't care about, where I was like, okay, well, it's all right to turn my brain off when they talk about Elder Scrolls Online, and then they go talk about something that I mentioned. I was like, oh, fuck, I gotta turn my brain back on. Well, speaking of turning your brain off, let's talk about Capcom. So that
even the lady that they have looks like the kind of person you would see at a GameStop commercial section.
She's just so generic. Like, you remember when they're doing the Village ones and they had that one lady that was kind of dressed up in like the Hot Topic goth dress?
Well, she was an actual streamer, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
which at least, but still very generic kind of thing.
I don't know who this lady is, but she just keeps coming on to be like, next up, let's talk about why.
It's the smile that freaks me out.
Yeah,
because it almost looks like somebody's pointing a gun at her off camera. Smile. Keep fucking smiling.
Yeah.
Don't you fucking stop.
They also changed the camera angle a lot, where sometimes she's looking directly into the camera and then they'll go to a side angle and it's like, wait, who are you looking at now?
It's weird. Yeah. It's just like, that's why it feels like something you would see in between something.
Yeah.
Not like an actual segment that you're supposed to watch all the way.
This is going to take not very much time. So Resident Evil Village, they were a little spoily in their trailer that they put out.
100%.
There were parts I had not gotten to in that game that they showed in that trailer. But basically, after their trailer,
some of that stuff's like late game too.
They reminded everybody that RE-verse is a thing that's still coming.
You play
your second
RE-verse?
favorite game.
fucking RE-verse.
And then the silliest announcement of all time. Development has begun on DLC for RE Village. Like, that was it. It was just text that said that.
That was at least an announcement.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like, well, I got something out of this, I guess.
I mean, there are ways to take concept art and make it into a teaser as opposed to just having a bunch of words fade in over a background.
My favorite thing, it says by popular demand, so it makes it seem like, yeah, we weren't going to make DLC for this originally.
Right.
We were just going to go all into RE-verse, but now we have to make DLC apparently.
No, they were. I think that
I think that's what it was.
Between the mercenaries mode for Village and then RE-verse, I think they had a slam dunk, and they were just like, well, they'll play the game, they'll see the vampire mommy, and then they'll leave and they'll want to do something else. And it's like, no, give us more vampire mommy. Like,
we want more stuff.
Yeah, come on.
I don't want to touch your RE-verse. Shit.
I don't know.
Shit out of my face.
It's so funny, RE-verse, because it's just like, it's one of those things that I'm sure like there's just some clueless executives out there that are like, yeah, people like multiplayer, people like Resident Evil, make a Resident Evil multiplayer. And somebody's like, sir, we've done that 5 times and we just don't know how to do it right. And they're like, no, you got it this time. Make it different than the last time.
I was watching Spider-Verse and I heard the word verse and I was like, you could do something with that, right?
Yeah, make it look like Into the Spider-Verse. That's what the kids like. Let's see. Do you want Monster Hunter Stories 2? Again, it
Got
was
some more Monster Hunter Stories 2 stuff, I guess.
It was a lot. There's a new trailer.
That's a game it's coming out.
Yep. If you really, I mean, honestly, if you're interested in this, you should go back and watch the Nintendo Direct that was like the Monster Hunter Direct that I watched, a little while back, because that went into exquisite detail about the battle system and the story and all kinds of stuff.
I think the only thing it mentions is that the Palamute is in it.
Yes.
But I don't know if they mentioned that in any of the other stuff.
No, that was new. Palamute are going to, apparently, like, okay, so it's got your character and then you've got a monster that they call Monsties, like your bud that you fight with. And the Palamute will count as a Monstie.
Okay.
For your thing. There's maybe some deep dive stuff in here, but I don't think I'm not qualified to talk about, oh my God, the implications from all the story from Monster Hunter Stories 1 that I totally played and know about for Monster Hunter Stories 2.
It still looks like a fun game, but the thing is, we've said that every other time it's come out.
Yeah, 100%. No, 100%. It's just I've already seen it. Like, show me something different.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, do you want to hear us reiterate all the stuff that's coming to Monster Hunter Rise? And it's like, no, I don't want that, but here it is anyway. A bunch of outfits that go back and forth, and like you can make your little Nico, your little cat.
Palamute?
Yeah,
Not Palamute. Palico.
Palico look like one of the characters from Monster Hunter Stories 2. The main character's outfit is a thing that you can get. There's like some crossover stuff. There's some new missions that are coming out, and then at the end of the month, we already knew this. The whole like paid DLC cosmetic stuff is coming out. You can get sunglasses for your people, whatever.
It's kind of neat.
No, it's fine.
But it's just like
we already know that. So,
not really all that much exciting about it, but this lady really wants you to think you're exciting.
I mean, I thought, the one thing I thought, the reason that I put this on the list, though, for you, though, is that they spent a lot of time on Great Ace Attorney Chronicles.
Which was the only, interesting thing of the entire thing for me.
Absolutely.
Because I want the Great Ace Attorney stuff, and I'm real excited.
Is it, okay, so this one was on, 3DS?
Yeah, it was a 3DS game in Japan.
Okay.
Because it was, they were worried about... translating it. One, because they Americanized the shit out of the original Ace Attorney.
Right.
Because the original Ace Attorney takes place in Japan, but they're like, it takes place in LA whenever you play it in America. And it's just like, what the fuck? And so this is supposed to be like his ancestor kind of thing. And they're like, well, what do we do? And then the Sherlock Holmes thing made things even more tricky.
I'm sorry. Sherlock Sholmes.
Sherlock Sholmes,
please.
Yes. That's the reason they did that, but
so they show a little piece of gameplay of the deduction system, where the dance of deduction, where Sherlock Sholmes is like, I know what's going on, and he's totally wrong and stupid, and then you have to be like, no, you don't. Let's look at this, and then at the end, everybody comes together and they figure out the thing that happened. I gotta say, while we're talking about the stuff we've been watching, the videos. This is a very low resolution video because you can't get good YouTube downloaders anymore. But it looks really nice.
It does.
Art style is very sharp. I don't know if they redid it, but if this was what the 3DS sprites look like, they translated very well for this version.
Well, if it's anything like some of the HD versions that they did for the phones and stuff, they designed it originally in a big screen first and then shrunk it down. So for if odds are it's possible that's what they did, but I'm not 100% certain on that. But I'm hoping that if this does well, they'll just release all of the Ace Attorney games on console.
Sure.
Because I'd love to be able to own 4, 5, and 6 on a console outside of my 3DS.
I've never played I really want to play the Edgeworth game, but I didn't play it on...
The first Edgeworth game's great. The second one I started, but I didn't get very far because it's only fucking came out in Japan.
Yeah.
And the only reason I was able to play it for a little bit is that...
Was there a translation on GameFAQs or something?
No, somebody went out of their way to make it an English ROM of it to the point where they hired people to be the voices of the people who didn't have objections.
Holy shit.
And put them into the game.
Wow.
I remember it took them years to do that.
Okay.
And I started it because I used to have this this cartridge that let you play downloaded shit on a DS. And the only reason I stopped is because it stopped fucking working.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the only thing that hasn't come out in America now is the second Edgeworth game, which is frustrating as hell.
I don't know. I mean, they seem kind of hell-bent on putting this stuff out. Capcom's not going to rest until every fucking thing they've ever made has been re-released on every other new platform that there is.
I hope so.
But
at least for this one, yeah.
This looks good. I mean, this looks very good. I'm really excited to try this out. I can't wait until you and I can do some videos for Rage Select on.
I'm really excited because this is the
great
This
Ace
is an
Attorney.
Ace Attorney game I haven't played in any shape, way, or form, and that makes me real excited.
So you're not just like, I know who did it. I know
Yeah.
what to do. Click on this. Click on this. Click on this.
Yeah, if you guys watched our videos, I 100% did that shit.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's an adventure game that you've played like over and over and over again.
It's
so
true. I have.
It's hard. What are you going to do? You're going to be coy? We were just like, well, maybe you should think about where the guy walked last. And I'm like,
I did do that once, and you're like, shut up. Just tell me what to do.
Yeah.
I love that this came back, though.
The jury, they're kind of like a jury, basically.
Yeah, it's like a set of different people that you ask stuff to.
Also, is this Van Zeek's guy, is he a vampire? Like, he looks like a vampire.
He looks like a vampire, yeah.
But yeah, you have to sway the court's opinions, and you can interview them, and they each have like a specific objection, and as you win them over, their flames go up into the scale of justice that moves down to one side.
So some of this was used in Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright.
Oh, okay.
Where except the difference was they were all witnesses originally. So you just talk to each one, and you're like, this is what this is, and this is what that is, kind of thing. So I'm real excited that sort of thing is coming back because it made the game that much more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited for this game, to be honest.
Yep, it looks great. It looks absolutely wonderful, and I cannot wait. And last there was esports, but I'm not even going to talk about that because it was just I didn't even bother watching it.
Capcom Pro Tour, I think, is what it was.
Yep.
And they're like, "Hey, esports! You want to talk about esports? I look like Kevin Hart." The guy said.
Did you watch this part?
No, of course not.
Okay.
I don't really like. It's just one of those things where I don't really pay attention to the Capcom Pro Tour all that much like I used to. So I don't know. I was more hoping for something announcement wise, but nothing happened.
So yeah, kind of a nothing burger, man. Like
no, yeah.
I mean, Ace Attorney was great, but everything else was like,
That's neat, I guess.
I mean, if you want more Monster Hunter, there's better Monster Hunter videos to watch. And
yes,
Resident Evil was garbage, and esports, who cares? So try again, Capcom.
A lot of the only thing that made me laugh about the RU one is the same thing that happened. I want to say it was in one of the Xbox ones where it was just like, this is clearly a Japanese guy speaking a language he doesn't actually know.
Oh.
Like, you just have a thing in front of him and he's trying to announce it best he can.
Yeah.
And I just felt bad. I'm like, just fucking translate it. We're at the point where no one cares anymore.
Holy shit, my God. I just got an email from HBO Max that the subject line was integration test email number 1, and the body is, this template is used by integration tests only.
Okay, then.
I think somebody hit the wrong button.
They absolutely did. A whole bunch of people got that email.
But yeah, so you know what the problem though is nothing here we didn't already know about. There was no new announcements.
There was nothing really all that new from it.
Yeah.
There was one somewhat new announcement, but it was just like, hey, we're making DLC because you want DLC.
Right. And other than that, nah.
No, nothing really.
All right. Well, before we take a break, we're tearing it up. We're tearing it up. I'm gonna have to go find some more conferences for us to do. We're like pros at going through these things. Let's talk about Gearbox.
Let's talk about Randy Pitchford's mixtape or whatever.
I've never seen, I told you this before, and I said I was going to say it. I've never seen an E3 conference that was a vanity project.
It's 100%. It's all about Randy fucking Pitchford.
It's so the Randy Pitchford show starring, they have these weird, like, you know what? I'm just going to say it right now, Michael. Nobody should try to do comedy except for Devolver because it doesn't work on the Future Game Show. It didn't work on the PC Game Show. It didn't work on the Gearbox show. Don't do it.
I feel like the Gearbox one was a nice try.
Yeah.
The issue is that it still involves Randy Pitchford.
Well, okay, let's talk for a minute. The problem is that Gearbox does not have enough fucking games to be putting on any kind of show.
No.
Like, this is like, we're not even covering the Warner Brothers show where they just showed one game, Back for Blood.
Yeah.
But, like, this show is honestly that. There is
Pretty
one
much.
new game in here. A lot of this is focused on the Borderlands movie. We already saw the trailer. We saw Jeff Keighley's Summer of Keighley or whatever put out the Borderlands Tiny Tina trailer.
Yeah.
We talked about that last week, right? So we already knew that was a thing. The Homeworld 3, it's frankly insulting.
Oh my God.
They just show Homeworld 3 and they talk about how cool Homeworld is and just put up a thing that says Homeworld 3 is still in development. Like,
what cracked me up is that it does it like 3 or 4 times.
yeah,
It's like you didn't even put them together, guys.
it's the interstitials between the other things.
It's like,
So
what is this?
yeah, it's frankly ridiculous. Like,
Yeah, it's 30 minutes, and I think like half of that is just Randy Pitchford, if not more.
and a lot of it is Randy Pitchford on the set of the Borderlands movie talking to the camera like we're all best fucking friends, and none of us can wait that we're all pissing our pants with excitement at the Borderlands movie. Like, they're like, I don't know. That's the thing, is that this show is treating Gearbox's properties like they're Ubisoft, and they're not, bro. Like, I don't know.
Well, he doesn't have anything to show. He's
Right. Well, then
his
don't
one-
do a thing. Like,
his one thing is that Borderlands is a thing.
Yeah.
Like that's the entirety of what Gearbox has been for 10 years.
Yep.
Was, hey, we made Borderlands. That's kind of cool.
that's pretty cool, right?
Now it's like, hey, Eli Roth is making a Borderlands movie. That's kind of cool.
yeah.
And this Randy Pitchford basically being like, these are my best friends in the whole wide world. And it's kind of, you feel like some of them are clearly like, Randy, get the fuck away from me.
Well, yeah, you get the feeling that everybody around Randy Pitchford is a professional, and that Randy Pitchford is being a bad fan.
Yeah.
And like Eli Roth is a professional who can just like put up with the shit. The shit with Kevin Hart at the end is just like,
Oh, it's cringy.
it's just like, oh my God, because it's like Randy Pitchford thinks that we're best friends, and Kevin Hart's like, I get paid. Like, I come out here and do 5 minutes with you, right?
Like the entire time he's talking to Kevin Hart, you feel the energy of Kevin Hart. Like, dude, get the fuck away from me.
Right.
Like, I don't even know you.
Right. And like, why are you filming this? What are you doing?
And every
Like,
time Randy speaks, it's him going, "I'm so excited because you're so cool.
Yeah.
And now you're my best friend in the whole wide world," kind of thing.
Yeah.
Look how awesome I am. Like, Randy, this isn't about you, dude.
Yeah.
Could you stop? Get the fuck away from these people.
It was so bizarre.
Like, yeah, even like the movements, the way he's there, where he's like shaking his head up and down. It's the kind of thing I would do if I met somebody famous and I was just like, "You're kind of neat."
No, it looks like a video from the E3 show floor where fucking some person from IGN is interviewing fucking Hideo Kojima, except that Randy Pitchford is the random IGN person interviewing people, and like,
Except he's talking more than they are.
Yes.
Which makes it that much funnier.
it's terrible.
It's really bad.
It's so
Like,
fucking bad. Like,
I almost didn't want to finish this thing.
Yeah.
Because I was like, Randy, fucking move. I don't want to deal with you, dude. Like, do you have anything to show me other than that you think you're best friends with all these people now?
and Eli Roth just seems like again, the everybody else seems like they're consummate professionals, and Randy Pitchford seems like he's just like, oh, you know, it'd be super cool is if I just get my phone and like walk through here and talk to people. Hey guys, we're on the set. Check out.
I
blah,
think
blah, blah."
honestly, Eli Roth's the only one that looks like he's kind of interested into talking to Randy.
Yeah.
And everyone else, not so much.
It's also like they do this like, oh, set photo of Kate Blanchett as Lilith, and it's all blacked out, and they have a part where it's like, here's another person who's Tiny Tina, and she's like blurred out, like nobody's
Yeah.
in costume. They
Yeah.
didn't even show any sets. They're on the movie set, Michael. We saw no sets. We saw no extras dressed up as psychos. We
No.
saw the
Nothing.
sky, a picture of like the city, like a claptrap,
A storyboard, something.
anything. Like, there's no information here, and it also goes on for 30 minutes. So, like, fuck, man. Like,
He's like, it's just him talking about how much he loves everybody. It's like, dude, Randy, like, this isn't about you. Could you stop it?
what it feels like is it got thrown together like a day before, or like 3 days before he decided he wanted to have something to show, right?
Well, I feel like they were originally going to start showing stuff, and then they're like, we don't have enough to make a thing.
Right.
And he's like, I got a great idea. Eli Roth's now my best friend.
Right.
He's going to let me do this. Me and Kevin Hart were bros now.
We had lunch last
week. We'll do
week.
a whole thing.
Yeah.
You know?
I asked him if he wanted to like stay at my beach house this summer, and he was like, I don't know, I'll get back to you. So we're besties, man.
I wanted to show him my magic tricks that I know I'm really good.
Kevin, give me your USB key. I got something I got to put on there for you. Hold on. No, it's not that. It's something else. No, you'll like it. I promise.
I feel so bad.
And there's just so much of this that's like footage of Borderlands, like
Yeah.
footage of a game that's already out, and it's like, God damn it, you're promoting a movie. Like the background of this is just white light.
just white.
And it's just like a black tent that says director on the side, and just
like every now and then, like he'll talk to somebody who's kind of famous, and then
yep.
it's just it's sad. It's saddening. It makes me sad.
Gina Gershon is Moxie?
Sure, I guess.
I don't know. I don't care enough about. It's just like, how did you get? How did they get this? How did they get the money for these people?
Well, like at least this was the one thing that I found interesting was that it was that he talks to one of the Arids, which if anybody knows is Avi Arad is the guy who made all the Marvel films.
Yeah,
damn near every Marvel film in existence. And I guess I don't know if this is his brother or something. I can't remember.
Is this in Austin? Is this at like the airplane hangars over an airport?
It might be, actually.
Is that where they're doing this?
I don't know. That's the thing, is I don't know, because I know for a fact, Gearbox is in Texas, so it could be, to be honest. But this is the one thing I found interesting was the fact that he says that I wasn't the one who asked them to make this. Yeah. They came to me, which I find the most interesting about this entire thing, because but what makes me laugh is the fact that Randy's like, yeah, I kept them away for 2 years. I'm like, no, Randy, you probably were like super excited, and we're just playing coy the entire time.
Yeah,
but at least like I think they got the money because these people have made other things in the past, and some of the actors are gamers. Like Jamie Lee Curtis is a huge gamer kind of thing, so it makes sense like that she would be in something like this kind of thing. So this could go either way is really what it comes down to. It's just that if this turns out to be good, it will have nothing to do with Randy Pitchford.
Yeah, never forget that Randy Pitchford is a piece of shit.
He's a terrible person.
He's a piece of shit. Like, no matter what you think about Borderlands, he's a fucking piece of shit.
Well, he's such a bad person. The original voice of Claptrap didn't come back because of his ongoing feud with Randy. That Randy is the one who's more of the antagonist.
Yep.
100,000% when it comes to it. So it's like, man, like... Gearbox deserves better than Randy Pitchford is really what it comes down to.
Yep. Let's see. There are two other things. We mentioned the Borderlands movie.
How many minutes did we spend just talking shit about Randy Pitchford?
About 10. About 10. Tribes of Midgard.
That was kind of a somewhat neat thing.
It was a really strange one. God, these homeworld things. Or it's like a... kind of a top-down thing where you're going out and doing resource collection. It's very Viking themed. It's very Vanheim or whatever. What's that? Is that a Steam game that everybody's super into?
I could see that. Yeah.
Where you go out and you collect a bunch of resources and you bring them back and then you use them to upgrade your town. And then like at night there are these kind of creatures that attack, and so you've got to be ready for kind of a tower defense almost type of thing at night. And then there's these giant gods that you can then go out and kind of put together raiding parties and go fight these like really, really tall characters. It looks kind of generic, but like it doesn't look bad.
Well, it looks somewhat generic, but it has the Norse background, which I think helps it more than anything else.
Yeah, I could totally see that. It doesn't look terrible, but it looks it's a little forgettable. Like I forgot that I had watched it until I went back and rewatched these for today's video or today's podcast.
It looks like the kind of game that like you would only really have fun if you had a bunch of people to play that with, which is kind of what they want you to do anyways.
Yep. And then their showstopper was that Godfall's going to be on the PS4, everybody!
Yeah, it's going to have a PS5 upgrade.
Woo! No, it's the other way. It's a PS5 downgrade, PS4 downgrade.
Oh, that's right.
Because it was a PS5 only.
Game. But if you buy the PS4 one, you get a PS5 upgrade.
That's what you're saying.
That's what I was saying.
I was like, what? Why would it have an upgrade to PS? No, it's already on PS5.
No, it has it. Yeah, because if say you had a PS4 and you didn't have a PS5,
sure,
you can get the PS5 version of it. That's what it says it on the thing. I didn't make it up.
They goddamn well better give me the PS5 version for free. I'm not buying Godfall twice. Like. You'd be lucky to get people to buy Godfall once.
That's the thing is, like, we were talking about, I already forgot the name of it, Babylon's Fall. I don't know.
Babylon's Fall. Yeah.
Well, they like Godfall at least has something that looks like a game that I would find somewhat interesting. And these people are trying. They want this game to be good, and I'm not going to say it's a bad game. I'm just going to say it's probably just not for me.
When Matt and I played it, we had an okay time with it. It's just the problem is that whenever you play, I mean, I don't know. This is a psychological thing, and it's one of the reasons why stuff like Avengers is a problem for me, is that when you play a game that has an open-ended endpoint that you know has an open-ended endpoint, like there's something psychologically speaking that doesn't gel with me about that, because it's like, I want to finish the game and then be done with the game. I don't want to finish the game and then just be like, and then here's another billion hours worth of shit to do, because
well, it just comes down to the fact these games are made to be played with friends.
Yeah.
Like, and that's
100%.
100% was what these things are. Like, that's how, like, I started having a lot more fun with Avengers recently, even more than I did the times I've played it, because I now have a few people that I can play it with.
Right.
And I spent hours, and I didn't feel it the way I was doing when I played it by myself. And I feel like Godfall has that exact same thing, is that if you have somebody you can play this with, you'll have fun with it. But it's, I don't know anyone who wants to play it at all.
Yeah.
So odds are I'm not going to.
Yeah, 100%. Wow. And that's our first half.
That's Randy Pitchford.
We made fucking tracks, man.
Talk shit. Let's just talk shit about Randy Pitchford.
Talk shit about Randy Pitchford.
Chunk of it.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say that, like, the second half of this is just going to be the Future Games show.
Yes.
Which is good, because there's a lot of fucking Future Games show. We'll see how much of it we can get through, but yeah. That's it. So stick around. We're going to take a break, but when we come back, we are going to do the Future Game Show.
Fate. It soars on the wind. It rises from the grave. It stalks the ocean floor. You cannot hide from fate. But you can make your own.
And we're back. And Michael, we knocked out 3 conferences in the first part, and now it's time to spend the entire second part on one conference. God damn it.
So much.
Yeah, I think I actually downloaded the schedule for E3 because I wanted to, like, make sure that it wasn't just me. But I'd be honest, man, like, in previous years, I think I've been like, man, nothing but trailers. Just show trailers. And this year I got my wish, and it was the monkey's paw. And I was just like, I can't watch this many trailers in a row and not, like, start to...
What a waste of a monkey's paw.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's just one of those things where I can't maintain excitement when you're just like thing. And not just that, but I also got to say that, you know, as cringy as Randy Pitchford is, Troy Baker was not doing himself any favors for this thing. He was trying to be a little cutesy boy. Don't be a cutesy boy, Troy. But, like, yeah, on Sunday, which was when this came out, it was like Xbox and Bethesda that was like 90 minutes long, and then it was like Square Enix that was an hour long, and the Warner Brothers thing, and then the PC Game Show was 90 minutes long, and then this one was 90 minutes long. So, like, by the time you got to the end, which was like 8:30 Central Time, or no, 7:30 Central, like,
okay.
I'd been watching fucking trailers all day, you know. I forgot about half the shit that happened during this. I don't know.
I did too, though.
Did you even watch this one live?
No, I didn't watch this one live. I watched the actual thing, the stream thing itself after the fact, and it was really hard to get there.
It also was not helped by the fact that, like, again, this is another one that had some technical problems where a lot of the videos seemed like they were encoded badly, like they looked bad. And the audio on the audio and the video seemed like they were offset, which wasn't a big deal because most of it was just voiceover. There wasn't as much like FaceTime, but it was just really weird. It was a really weird show.
Yeah.
Hosted by Western Digital Black, though. You get them hard drives, boy.
Yeah. One of them hard drives.
Yep.
You could win a hard drive was what they were doing during that time.
At least they didn't spend a long time. Like in the PC gaming show, they were just like, be sure to vote on which MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries PC custom case you want to see. We're going to announce the results at the end of this thing.
Oh, jeez.
At least, though, in both of them, there wasn't a part where they stopped in the middle and then had the sponsor do a 20-minute tech demo. Actually, one of the ones that we're not talking about, Michael, was Razer did a conference, and I tried to tune into it, and it was just like, oh, you want to hear about a really thin gaming laptop? And at one point they pivoted and did 10 minutes on a charger, or like a plugs into the wall.
Are you serious?
Charger. Yeah, that was like a really fast charger, and I was like, okay, all right, cool, you guys. I don't know if this requires a stage show, but
no,
you
it
know,
doesn't. I get why you have an E3, but I don't think you need to have any kind of show for that.
Yeah. So, okay. Let's see how much of this we can do. We started with Instinction, which is like a very early people versus Dino Crisis vibes, right?
Yeah,
Kinda
somewhat.
Dinosaurs and people. A lot of dinosaurs. A lot of dinosaurs at this E3.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that until right now.
Yeah. A lot of dinosaurs, a lot of Eastern European first-person shooters. This E3 this year.
Sometimes both.
Yeah. So this looks like, I don't know, it's like some kind of action adventure. There's like dinosaurs. There's like a person climbing around. They got a machine gun. I'm sure Matt Frank will play it.
Maybe. I don't know.
It was a little like just, okay, cool. I don't know.
Like it tried to make some of it exciting, but it was still just like, eh.
Yeah. I don't know. It looked like it had potential, but again, it also looked like it was a little too early.
This is a good shot of what I meant.
Yeah.
Like, I was telling this off screen. So during this trailer, I don't know if you said it looks better on YouTube.
Absolutely. Here, let me pull up the.
But
YouTube
there's a point where a dinosaur walks by during the stream version of it.
Yeah.
Where it looks like the dinosaur. Like if you've ever seen an old '90s film where the CGI monster like clearly is not in front of the person, kind of thing. It was like that with the dinosaur and the person.
It was the encoding. Like it's a 4K video on their YouTube channel, and like everything looks way better. Like
holy shit.
It looks like a lot better than it did in it looks more cohesive. Like there's some problem with like the video file or something. Like
so yeah, that looks a little better. But yeah, it's I don't know. It still looks really generic though. Is the main thing. Like it looks like one of those games that somebody made with a lot of pre-built assets.
Yeah, I can
and
see
then
that.
they added the dinosaurs into it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It could go either way depending on how it's made or how it ends up at the end.
Yep. There's a game called Grow Song of the Evertree that was just like again, this is kind of generic, like you're gonna build stuff, you're gonna raise stuff, you're gonna do a bunch of cute stuff in a cute land, you're gonna push back the disharmony or something like that. This one really rolled off my brain.
Yeah, well, a lot of this stuff did. That's the thing.
Yeah,
it's a lot of generic indie stuff, which I'm not saying indie stuff is bad. I'm just saying that sometimes somebody's idea doesn't work for me enough for me to remember it.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody's probably will like this whenever it comes out.
Absolutely. We got another chunk of Jurassic World Evolution 2. This one involved the same trailer we've seen a bunch of times, and then a very short trailer for Triceratops.
At least explained a little more about what you're actually supposed to be doing, though.
Yeah,
which I was happy with, because all the other announcements I remember we talked about, we were like, well, what is that you're supposed to do if you're no longer in a park?
Right.
It's like, it's a conservation thing, so you're actually like, these guys are out and about, so you're just trying to keep them from, getting in harm's way, kind of thing.
I wonder if there's poachers. Get rid of them dinosaur poachers.
Maybe, I don't know.
That'd be pretty cool.
You really want them horns from them for them aphrodisiacs.
That's right.
That they're making
Triceratop horns.
Yeah.
From there, we got this really weird, like the virtual games show floor, which was very bizarre. It's
very bizarre.
It reminded me of last year. Devolver did that virtual E3 thing where you could go to the different things and you could like launch the demos and stuff. But it's just like this virtual first person walking around the show floor while Troy Baker makes with all his funny jokes. These are super funny jokes, you guys.
Funny joke guy.
And they showed a bunch of different things. They showed A Tale of Paper, which actually this one I wish got more because it looks interesting. It's like a little paper guy running around in a world, and like there's all the normal size stuff in the world is chasing him around, and you're trying to escape like a Roomba. But they showed like 3 seconds of it. So
yeah, that's the thing with this game, this little show. It's like I don't really like. They show some stuff that just doesn't really seem all that interesting outside of I don't know. I guess that it's an indie.
Yeah. Get Packed Fully Loaded is like it's the opposite of the moving out or whatever.
Yeah,
where you got to like pack up a house instead of moving it or whatever. But they showed that. They showed a game called. They showed some Steam keys for one of those Eastern European games. They showed a game called Gatewalkers that was like a kind of top-down Diablo style, but with some survival elements in it, which was very generic. Let's see. They showed this weird thing called Game Deck. This was one of the ones that I liked, though, because it was like oh, it's a virtual reality world, but then like stuff that happens in the world like changes the world in different interesting ways. Unfortunately, again, it's just like a 3-second trailer. Like it's not that much going on, but I like the kind of the art style. It looks like a third-person kind of visual novel adventure game, and I like what I saw because it looked kind of different. So they showed Backbone. Go watch Amanda and I play Backbone. That's the Raccoon Detective. We already played that. It's already out. It's on Game Pass. If you got Game Pass on the PC, go play it on the PC. Let's see. Beacon Pines, which was an interesting little game about like using like a book to change language. Like it's like a storybook, but then you kind of go and manipulate the words in the book to change stuff.
Okay.
Trifox, which is some kind of weird fox battling game.
Yeah, that one I had no idea what that was going on.
I like this Timberborn game, which is like a city building game, but you're beavers.
Yeah.
Like you're specifically a bunch of beavers trying to make like a SimCity building game.
Yeah, apparently like all of civilization is gone except for beavers.
Except for the beavers.
Which I think is fascinating as hell.
Yeah, and I like it. It should also be noted that a lot of, I think the reason that they did a lot of this is because a lot of these games had demos on Steam that you could go download. I will say, though, as somebody who has Steam and wanted to download some of these demos, it is really difficult to find them. And they have them laid out in a really weird way. But also, they launched their own Game Fest. And they've got like, so you go to their Game Fest page, and at the top, they've got a live stream. And then it's like they've got some pre-order stuff, but then the whole thing is divided into like action, adventure, RPG, and stuff. And you have to like go to that page and scroll down like a page and a half to find the demos. And they're very poorly laid out, and you can't even tell what the fuck. Like
That's so weird.
It's very weird.
It's a bad design, guys.
And then the last thing they showed was Riftbreaker, which Matt and I literally played the demo for last year, where it's like it's a cool game. It's gonna be on, I think it's gonna be on Game Pass, or it's at least gonna be on the Xbox, where it's like a top-down mech game where you're doing kind of action adventure, but then you have to build like a base, and then there's like a tower defense, right, where you trigger an event and then like a billion aliens rush your base that you've made, and you've got to like fight them off and build turrets and stuff. So it's kind of an interesting hybrid. I liked it quite a bit. But I feel like you would never know from this trailer. Like they kind of briefly describe it, but they don't really show it in enough detail for you to really get a handle on it.
That's kind of the issue with this one, is that they'll be like, look at this, and then they're like, moving on. And it's like, but I wanted to find out what that was about.
Yeah. From there, they talked for a long time about the esports boxing club, which is another one where, like, if you go watch the actual footage of it on YouTube, it looks a lot better than what they showed at the show. Like, if you look at an actual high resolution version of this game, which looks like it's going to be taking like what kind of like the skate model of like boxing, where they're trying to be really. They're like scanning in fighters, and they're trying to make their physics, like they said that they're trying to make their physics really like reactive, as opposed to having just canned animations when you get punched, that they're trying to like make the physics work in the game. But like when you watch on YouTube, it looks great. When you watch it on their stream, it was blurry and muddy and shitty and like
awful on their stream.
Yeah.
Like I remember zoning out after a while because I was like, wow, this looks bad.
Well, but
seeing this version looks a lot better.
They went on and on and on, but yeah, it looks a lot better. Go watch it on their thing, because again, they did a pretty good job. Like, it's got a little bit of a weird, like, I don't know, like a 90s movie lighting problem where everything feels like it's got a specifically weird
it's an alpha
light.
though, so I'm willing to let that go.
Yeah, but it looks like they're trying to just kind of be like the WWE 2K of boxing games,
which could be kind of cool.
Sure. And it's going to be on everything. It's going to be on that's the other thing about these conferences, though, right? Is that like nowadays with the power of the Xbox and the PS5, nothing is just PC exclusive unless like that's the only place they can afford to put it out, right?
Yeah.
Because all of the other consoles can play any of these games. Like,
well, not only that, they're all like trying to get all these indies to bring their stuff over. So.
Right.
Because they never know when the next, big old Cuphead thing is going to appear.
Yeah.
So, you never know. Or even Minecraft, for that matter.
From there, we had Hell Let Loose, which is like a big multiplayer World War II action game.
Yeah.
Which, just there's some stuff going on in here, but for the most part, it's just like, yep, looks like an online, looks like Day of Defeat or any of those games. So
sure.
There was a game called Red Solstice 2 There was kind of an interesting I think that what this is it's like a real-time tactical game. So it's like did you ever play Warhammer 40K, like the second RTS one?
No.
Where it's like you're not really building as much as you're controlling a micro squad, and you're really like doing tactics with your micro squad.
This was the multiplayer one, right?
I think it can be a multiplayer, but it can also be single player. But
okay,
it looks good. Like, I think this one looks good. I'm kind of a sucker for dudes in power armor shooting a bunch of aliens. It reminds me a lot of, again, what the hell is the name of that game that had Super Earth on the PS4 that was the mech game? Helldivers.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of has some Helldivers.
Yeah, I can see the Helldivers.
Helldivers meets Phoenix Point energy going on.
Yeah, this was one of those ones that I actually found kind of interesting, like legitimately, because of the fact that it was like, yeah, it's a multiplayer version of this kind of game. So I was like, oh, that's kind of neat.
Yep. It seems cool. Let's see. From there, we got some more information on Lake, which is the super indie. I quit my big city job and I'm a mailman in the country.
It's almost the plot of a Hallmark movie.
Yeah,
which I think is kind of funny.
Yeah. This one actually showed us, though, outside of just delivering packages, you're going to be like, I don't know, you can go on a date with a lady, and you're going to go see a movie. You got to pick which movie you want to see.
Yeah. It takes place in the 90s, I think is what they said.
Yep.
So they're like, oh, that's The Great Mouse Detective.
I want to go see the... Yep. Except that in this part where they're driving in this car, they both are just like the most wooden-looking characters I've ever seen. Where it's just like...
Well, for a moment, I didn't realize who was talking because I didn't notice that their mouths actually were moving.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out who was who after a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's an indie, like, little darling-y type game. So.
Oh, this is in the 80s, man. This is not the 90s. This is the 80s.
I could have sworn it was like, they said it was a 90s thing.
Or unless it's like throwback movies, because they're like Blue Velvet, Big Trouble in Little China, and Great Mouse Detective. That's all the 80s. I don't know. Who knows?
I think it was a video store thing, but I'm not really sure.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you either way.
Anyway.
I just know it's indie as hell.
Eldest Souls was a game with a big explaining cutscene. There wasn't any game here.
Yeah, this one was just one long, like, set of plot. Cutscene stuff.
And like all the cutscenes go, like they go through all these cutscenes, and it's all just like this hand painted stuff. And then it's like they do the thing for the future game show with this like triangle thing. And when they show it, it looks like it's like a top down kind of pixelated thing.
It shows looks like somewhat gameplay looking thing.
Nothing like what it looks like in this teaser.
Well, it reminds me of that one game with the kid with the arrow. Where it's like a top-down thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it kind of reminds me of that sort of look for some reason.
Something Souls, like Dungeon Souls or something.
I forgot
like
the
that.
name of it, but
yeah. I don't remember that one. I mean, I remembered. I just don't remember the name. Let's see. From there, they showed Enlisted. Now, this is another one of those ones. Yesterday, I was talking with Bryce about this online multiplayer game that they showed at the PC game show called Lemnis Gate. That was like, did you and I play? There was a game where it was like a multiplayer game. Or maybe we just watched a trailer for it. It was a multiplayer game where like you did a round and then it backed up in time and you did a second version of that round, but your mirrors were also playing the same round.
Oh.
And it did it several times. And Lemnis Gate was that, but the trailer made it look like Lawbreakers 2. Like, it didn't explain that at all.
Uh-huh.
This Enlisted game, I actually went and looked up what it is, and it's like an online multiplayer World War II game. But the thing is that there's a version of it where you don't play as one person, you play as a squad. And so, like, if one person in the squad dies, then, like, you just switch over to another person in the squad. So it's like squad versus squad, but you control, like, a bunch of AI characters as well.
Okay, so that's why they're saying there's a version where it's just like a normal shooter kind of thing.
Right.
Okay, I can see that. That's interesting.
It looks all right. I mean, again, it's, man, this is the video game industry. So you show me a first-person shooter where somebody's shooting a World War II gun at some other guy that's dressed up in World War II uniform, and there's a World War II tank, and I'm just like, yep, I've seen this game, seen it a whole bunch of times.
Yeah, but you can switch now.
Yeah, but you can totally switch. Yeah. From there, we saw Severed Steel, which...
This actually what I found really interesting.
Have you not seen this before?
I'd not.
Oh, okay. This is an interesting game that I've seen a few times before, where it's very parkour, and the whole point of the game is that, like, this is like an assassin, and at the beginning, this organization, she loses an arm somehow. So she only has one arm, and so you can't reload guns. So it's like you're shooting people. It's almost like Super Hot, but it doesn't slow down. And you like wall run and like throw a gun and then grab another gun and then do it. But it's like, and then there's some kind of like super, you go into like extreme mode where time slows down and then you can do stuff. Very stylish, lots of action. But yeah, I've seen this before. This is your first time seeing this. Tell us what you thought.
Well, yeah, I had the Super Hot kind of vibes from it, as well as like, just I like that whole the franticness of it. I thought was really interesting because it did mention that she only has one arm, so I was just curious as to how that would work. So
yeah,
knowing that you can't reload explains a lot, though.
Yeah, I like it when they do some interesting stuff like that. I like the kind of sliding, the slippy slidey stuff. It kind of reminds me of Vanquish a little bit, like with the sliding and Mirror's Edge. There's some Mirror's Edge D&D in there, except there's a lot of guns as well. Yeah, I am looking forward to this one. It was announced 3 or 4 months ago. There was a trailer for it, and I thought it looked really good. Let's see. From there, we got a montage of some other stuff, future hits. This was, I don't even know how to talk about this. This was even faster than some of the other stuff. Dice Legacy, Gestalt, Steam and Cinder, Iron Corbo, Kung Fu Janitor, which is all one thing.
Yeah.
Definitely not fried chicken. Ranch Sim, Shim, Silt, and Dom King Cabbage. Did any of these stand out to you but at all?
Well, the Kung Fu Janitor one I thought was kind of charming with its look. The Gestalt Steam and Cinder has that nice, 8-bit,
kind of pixel
Castlevania-looking Game Boy Advance game.
Sure.
Look. Other than that, everything else was just kind of...
Well, again, some of these might be fine, but it's just like you didn't show them for more than 1 second a piece. So
don't really know anything about them from the get-go.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the point of definitely not fried chicken is.
I don't know. It's just like this is fried chicken part, but then there's also a part where guys with guns are shooting up everything. So
that's the thing that confuses me, because it looks like a game that you're supposed to do a like one of those build kind of things. But then when the guys who came in shooting, I'm like, well, now I definitely don't know what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. We saw Silt at the PC Game Show as well, I believe. And then I don't remember
is it Schism or what is it? Schism?
Yeah.
That one I thought was somewhat interesting because it's like hopping from piece of shade to piece of shade.
Yeah.
But you don't really know anything other outside of that.
Yeah. And Dome King Cabbage, which looks weird, and
Dome King Cabbage
really
is like you don't really know what the fuck's going on in it, but it has a nice art design to it. So.
Yeah. We saw some gameplay from Sonic Colors Ultimate,
which came out of nowhere. It's like, what the fuck? Okay, fine. This is where we're going to see the Sonic game?
Yeah. At like the last thing on the second day of E3.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Sega could have done a direct where they just showed a bunch of games we already know that are out, but the people would have been like, where's Sonic? More Sonic. Where's that new Sonic game? Show it to us.
I would have just talked about the movie or whatever.
I'm still waiting for that. What was that game on the What Happened? That Sonic Extreme remaster?
Oh, yeah. That the internet's making.
Yeah. I mean, this looks fine. It looks like a Sonic game. I've never played Sonic Colors. It looks like a pretty good Sonic game if that's what you're into. I'm not really into Sonic.
It was one of the more beloved ones from what I hear.
Yeah. Let's see. From there, we saw Starmancer, which was a Chucklefish game, who I'm a big fan of Chucklefish.
Okay.
And this seemed like very much like this kind of space station where you're an AI that's like trying to keep a bunch of little spritey people alive. Like, I haven't really played any of these space station or any of these these space station kind of top down management style games.
You're doing very good there until everyone died.
Right. But I'm a big fan of Chucklefish. I like Chucklefish a lot. So this might be the one for me to give it a try, because there was like the Double Fine had that one, and then they just abandoned it like halfway through.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that entirely.
Yeah, I feel like you and I played. No, Matt and I played one. It wasn't Space Station. It was the one where you're like a corporate thing. You got to build stuff inside. But
we played other things, but it was never like something like that specifically.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it looks pretty good. I do like the way that they've integrated the pixel people and then like 3D objects that look like they're made out of pixels kind of stuff as well.
Which is pretty cool.
Let's see. We saw some more of Kiwi. Kiwi just seems like internet bait so hard.
It really is. And one of them's name is Jeff.
One of them's Jeff. One of the Kiwis running the Kiwi post office.
They're adorable.
Yeah. It's like you got to... a bunch of little puzzles to do as little Kiwis working in a post office. There's a bunch of other birds. Is that a cassowary?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Kiwis, get away.
It's that area kind of thing.
This looks fun. This looks really fun.
It looks like a fun little time, which I think is adorable.
Yeah. Even though, just put it out. Just put it out, man. Let's see. Death Run TV did nothing for me.
Well, it's just the idea of, what was it, Smash TV?
Smash TV,
But but they don't have the license to call it that, so
yeah.
Sure, I guess.
Very kind of Enter the Gungeon style. Very chaotic. I don't know. This one was just too frenetic, and I was already tired, and so it didn't do very much for me.
I don't know. The design just reminds me of what could have been an old Newgrounds thing.
Sure.
But other than that, yeah, it doesn't really interest me that much.
Yeah. Chernobyl Light. Michael, what are your thoughts about Chernobyl Light? I think this was actually at the PC Game Show as well. I think I see this one of those games I saw in a whole bunch of different areas. Eastern European
it's another
shooter.
one of those Eastern European shooter things where they're really into radiation.
Yep.
But it just reminds me of those kinds of games. Like those games are, for some reason they keep making those games.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's very much like part of their
Stalker
their
and Metro
process. Metro, Stalker, all that stuff. Like for some reason a lot of those foreign European countries are like, what if we made a game with radiation?
Well,
and no one says like, but what about the other guy who made the game?
Well, it's interesting because I feel like a lot of Eastern, like, it's obvious. I've been thinking an awful lot recently about like things that we don't get from other countries, right? Like the reason that we sometimes see like media and games and things from other countries, and we don't entirely understand it because like Chernobyl like fucked up Eastern Europe, like,
well, that's the thing. It's
so
like,
you get a lot of this exclusion zone stalker stuff, right?
Yeah, it is very much their part of their culture. The thing is just it's we saw like what 3 or 4 things like this year.
Yep.
And just E3 itself.
There's Stalker 2. We saw this at the PC Gaming Show earlier. There was another one at the PC Gaming Show that was weird. That had the super tiny subtitles all the way at the bottom that you barely even see they were there. Yeah. There was a bunch of that. But then the exact opposite of that was that Atomic Heart game that was just like fucking bananas, man.
Yeah, that one I was actually really interested in.
That was like a sci-fi Russian dash cam of a video game where you're just like,
awesome.
What is happening? I don't know.
Yeah, that was one of those ones where I'm like, okay, this looks like it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But this one itself just reminds me of a lot of those, and it's not really my bag.
Yeah.
But I get why people would keep making stuff like that.
Sure. I mean, people really liked Stalker. They put out Stalker and then I think like 2 or 3 other Stalker games before Stalker 2.
Yeah.
And, people like it. The Metro games are very well received. Let's see. From there, I was actually pretty excited because we got Team 17 sizzle reel, and I like Team 17 quite a bit. I don't know how much of this. I don't know. Hell Let Loose we already saw, right?
Yeah.
Super Magbot looked like a kind of a generic 2D platformer with some interesting mechanics, but
it was kind of the Super Meat Boy kind of thing.
We saw Hoko Life, which is like obviously just one of those Harvest Moon meets Animal Crossing, grow crops, build a house, put your furniture in it.
I think it's just Animal Crossing.
I think it's just Animal Crossing.
I think it literally just they're just like, let's make Animal Crossing.
Okay.
But without being Animal Crossing, I think is really what it looks like.
I guess they don't ever show them with crops. They were in a pastoral setting, so I just assumed that there was going to be farming in there somewhere.
Yeah, I think it's just they made Animal Crossing, but they're not going to call it Animal Crossing.
I do like this from like the what is a prison simulator or prison architect.
Oh yeah.
And like the Escapists, the Escapists, and there's another Escapist. There's this game, this Honey, I Joined a Cult game that seems like it might be part of that, like escaping using your kind of wits in this weird simulation thing. Looks very strange.
It looks very strange. I love the name of it though, but it looks very strange.
Yeah, you kind of got me by the name. Let's see. We also got King of Seas.
We played that.
You and I literally played. It's out right now. Fun stuff.
Was it a Patreon or did we actually put it up?
I think it's a Patreon.
Yeah. It was pretty fun.
Greek, which Greak, which is it's just like hand animated. It looks like a side scroller. I actually this is one of the ones that had a demo I downloaded, but I didn't get a chance to play it yet. And then let's see, Sheltered 2, which was Sheltered was that build a bunker. No, that's a different game. This is some kind of post-apocalyptic weird simulation thing. So
yeah, I don't know anything about it.
I don't really play the first one. Oh my god. From there, I'm happy to say that there's something that I thought was absolutely looked really, really good. Not Overcooked. There was an Overcooked birthday bash thing.
Yeah.
Harold Halibut.
Yeah, this was an interesting one.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of people that live on a crashed spaceship under the ocean, and it looks so interesting because they it was hard when you were looking at it to be this is claymation, right? But then it's not really. It's they made claymated characters and then scanned them in and then did mocap of people that was mapped on top of the claymation characters that makes them look singularly different than anything I've ever seen before.
It's fascinating. The entire it's the whole design of everything, because they made everything and scanned it in. Even the environments are made by them and scanned in. And it's just I don't know what to, I know the way they were introducing it. It's it's got that kind of Aardman kind of idea, but I don't even think it's like that either.
But it's so the animation is so smooth because it's motion captured, right? Motion, hand stop animation has a very different feel to it because it's done by hand, and there's an art to it, and it's not saying it looks bad, but this is just I've never seen claymated characters move with this without the cartoonish exaggeration, with the more realistic fluidity of what you would get out of motion capture.
Yeah.
And so the end result, it seems like a fuck ton of work, but the end result is striking. It's just very striking.
It was the most exciting thing out of this entire thing for me.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I don't know how much more to say about it. And it looks like very surreal kind of adventure game, talking to people. Really interesting, really fascinating, and again, looks really, really cool. I really recommend that everybody go check out the trailer for it, and go check it out on YouTube. Don't watch this part of that thing, because it looks way better on YouTube.
It looks great on YouTube.
It does on the other thing. So, yeah, Harold Halibut, good stuff. We got another trailer for Happy Game.
Yeah, I forgot this was being made. So when I saw the trailer for this one again, I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right. This is that fucked up."
I think wasn't this originally announced on a Switch?
Yeah, that's
a Nintendo Indie Direct.
Yeah, that's why I forgot about it, and but it says it at the end where it's this is coming on Switch, because we talked about this.
Yeah, pretty sure
it was first announced, and I kept going, where have I seen this before? And then I saw it was announced for Switch. I'm like, oh, that's right. It's this weird fucked up little thing. I love the intro. This is the one time I kind of like the Troy Baker intro, where he's like, I've been told this is a very sweet game.
Right.
And then after he's like, did we watch the same thing?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. This is just this is some real fucked up kind of, I don't know. I get a real 90s vibe off of this, of just the dishwasher smile or whatever kind of.
It reminds me of a lot of those Newgrounds kind of thing. Even some Don Hertzfeldt a little bit. It's just it's just fascinating.
Devil Doll and Radiskull almost
it so reminds me of those things I grew up on.
Yeah.
Which is a weird thing to say, but that's kind of what we were.
Hey, man, it was the 90s. We were all teenagers that were depressed, and we wanted to make a
lot of weird shit was going on.
So ironic, man. Look, it's like Happy Faces, but then it's evil. Yeah. It's hard to even describe this. It looks like it kind of almost looks like reverse Odin Sphere. Now that I'm looking at it,
I could see that.
It's like you're going around in a circle, right? But then everything is changing, and there's all these kind of fucked up imagery, and just
it's just so fucking insane.
Just crazy shit.
I can't wait to see how this game actually turns out all the way.
There's a Steam demo. You download the Steam demo. Let's see. We saw Minute of Islands, which was actually one of the very few games that was and it's out today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because Tessa and I played it for a video for Rage Select, so y'all will be seeing that. Maybe even today. Very kind of like post-apocalyptic Adventure Time. I know Adventure Time is post-apocalyptic. Don't at me, but like more of a like people in radiation suits and like
people are alive. Kind of thing.
Like fucked up carcasses of whales and very much. And then it's kind of just like an adventure platforming game for what we played. Seemed very cool. Seems very like kind of slow and atmospheric. The main character kind of has this staff that can turn on things in this broken world where these spores have killed a lot of people. Very interesting. Very striking art style.
100%.
Very kind of looks like a cross between Adventure Time and something else.
Yeah, I can definitely see like this being something Adventure Time like looking.
Yeah,
which is really, really gorgeous looking for some reason.
Yep. And it's out right now. It's on the PlayStation and Steam, and I think it's on the Switch. I think it's on everything, actually. I think it might be on Xbox as well.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So, kind of sad that was like the only,
yeah, there it is.
Yeah, the only, and it's out today thing this year. I like it when it's out today.
Those are always nice a nice surprise when that sort of thing happens.
Yep. We saw more Dying Light 2. Does anybody care? I mean, I'm going to buy Dying Light 2. I like Dying Light
it's
a
cool.
lot.
It was really nice. But yeah, it's just, did you like Dying Light? Then buy Dying Light 2.
Yeah. Dying Light 2 is one I know that I'm like, hey, they should slow down and say more, but I'm like, no, but I've already heard like a million years about Dying Light 2. Like, I don't need to know more. Tell me more about Happy Game and less about Dying Light 2. We saw another trailer for Ali Ali World, which is a very cool idea. I'm glad that they're making it. What did you think about this? Did you ever play Ali Ali?
No, not really.
Does this spark your interest but at all?
It's somewhat neat, but it's just still not like my thing, I guess. Like it looks like the kind of game that if you're really into that sort of thing, it could be really fun.
Yeah. Let's see. From there, we saw a very cinematic trailer for a game called Tales of Iron, Tails. This is another one of those, like, there is no gameplay here. Not that I can see anyway. It's just the story.
It's hard to tell if what's supposed to be gameplay, because the way its art design is. Like, it's very storybook looking.
It's a very cinematic cutscene about how the rats drove out the frogs, and then the king got sick, and now the frogs are back, and the rats got to go back to war, but the sun's got to do it. It looks very cool, but just like this podcast, we've gotten to the point where it's like, there's just been so many fucking things, man. I don't know what else to say. Like, I don't know what else to say about video games at this point, because that's cool. Show me more, maybe? No? Okay. Cool.
And then the frogs came back.
The Frog Nation attacked. Then for some reason, David Jaffe showed up.
Yeah. David Jaffe showed up drinking.
Yep.
And he was like, let's talk about porn games or whatever for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck, David Jaffe?
And at the end, there was a weird thing where they were like, find out why David Jaffe's drinking sometime later, I guess.
It was very confusing.
Yeah.
Like, he was like, I'm talking about movie game things. I'm like, but they're... I don't really like. It was hard for me to figure out what he meant by that originally.
I think movie games is like a sub brand, right?
Yeah.
Like a publisher.
Well, that's why I was confused at first, because he starts talking about Lust from Beyond, which you and Tessa played.
Yeah, but they're making a console edition that I think is
it's an M-rated version,
right? Instead of
not like full-blown pornographic kind of thing. So.
Yeah, you don't walk into a room with the censorship turned on, and it's just like. Fucking mosaics everywhere and a bunch of moaning. Yeah, they showed that. They showed Fire Commander, which seems to be kind of like a tactical putting out fires, the game.
Yeah.
They showed Winter Survival Simulator, which David Jaffe seemed real pumped about, even though it just looks like about 100 other games that I've already played.
I don't know. I think it's because he was drunk.
It did have that thing, though, where like you've gotten so cold that you're hallucinating, which is kind of a cool thing. And then it's just like, hey, everybody, I hope you've enjoyed that. Look at me. I'm going back to drinking vodka directly out of the bottle. I'm David Jaffe.
David Jaffe. What a weird guy.
What a weird guy. I looked up his thing. He did like, the last thing he did was that Spiral Notebook multiplayer game where everything was like a pencil drawing.
Oh yeah,
that was the Drawn to Death or Drawn to Life
something
or whatever
like
it is.
That, yeah,
that was the last thing he made.
Was that the last thing he did?
Yeah, and then before that, it was like Calling All Cars. I think
he's doing a lot of YouTube stuff now. I think. So I've heard.
I don't know. I still take that over what Cliffy's been putting out.
That's true. Yeah.
No Cliffy B this year.
Cliffy
at
B.
E3.
I don't know what the fuck that dude's up to anymore, to be honest.
Yep. Let's see. From there, we had a big montage of Xseed games. Very little of this is worth your time.
Not really, yeah.
Of course, they are re-releasing Akiba's Trip.
Yeah.
A remastered version of Akiba's Trip. I knew about that already. Shadowverse Champions Battle, which is some kind of card-based bullshit.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Story of Seasons Friends of Mineral Town, which is one of those fucking growing crops and making friends bullshit. Rune Factory Special 4, which is like a franchise, because then they also announced Rune Factory 5.
I forgot that was a thing.
I don't even know what these games are. That's a thing. You could go look it up or yell
I've
at me.
seen them pop up every now and then, but I don't know anything about them.
Yeah. And then let's see. From there, we had Batora, Lost Haven, which actually this one looked kind of cool, kind of Diablo-ish, but
Yeah.
I like the story stuff that was going on around it, like nice lighting engine. Kind of reminds me of did you and I play that game that was like I played it a million years ago. That was like a game that came out a couple years back that I feel like nobody knew about. It was like a Diablo game where you would switch between different characters.
Oh yeah, no, we did play that.
It kind of reminds me of that a little bit.
I forgot about that. I can see that.
Finally came out on consoles as well.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I like the look of this. It's going to be on everything.
I forgot about that.
There was a 2 Point Campus video, which I feel like, again, is like the fourth time I've seen 2 Point Campus.
It was shown on everything.
Yep. Which I like 2 Point Campus.
Yeah, because it's coming out on everything, as far as I can tell.
Yep.
So
they
like
talked
every conference talked about it. Even Nintendo talked about it.
Yep. I'll be honest, I didn't really watch all of this because I was like, I want to play it. Like,
Yeah, it's just like I can only be so much more interested in this game.
right.
From like, you guys don't have to keep telling me about it.
Yeah. There was a game called Project Ferocious that was another dinosaur game.
Yeah.
Like people and dinosaurs, and like we brought the dinosaurs, and now here's a first-person shooter with dinosaurs, and I'm like, man, this is like the third dinosaur game I've seen, and the second with first-person shooter dinosaur guys.
It's why it confuses me that Dino Crisis 3 is still not a thing.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine?
This would have been the perfect time of all the dinosaur games.
Can you imagine if Capcom had scooped the entire PC gaming dinosaur landscape and just announced a logo for Dino Crisis 3?
Yeah.
So they only made 2? 3?
Yeah, they never made, as far as I know, they never made 3.
So the second one is the time travel one?
I think so.
Oh my god, that's so weird.
It's been a long time.
So fucking weird. That one is, but this one is like targeting 2023, and it's like, god damn it,
Sure, I guess.
don't show me. This is the second thing I've heard with a 2023 release date. Don't show me that. Warcry was the next thing, which was like, this is kind of an interesting one where it's a very like fast-paced first-person shooter. What do they say? Like Doom Meet Super Meat Boy was the thing they said in the trailer.
Okay.
Which looks really fun, where there's
I
a
feel
lot
like
of
this was mentioned before, right?
I don't think
point?
so. I think this is the first time I saw it this year. I don't remember seeing
I
it
might
in
be
a
thinking of something else.
previous thing, but
But it is like really interesting.
I do not have the energy to talk about Conway Disappearance of Dahlia View, which appears to be just like a Rear Window detective game. It doesn't look bad or anything, but just like it's very atmospheric and very put stuff together.
Mr. Conway Twitty.
Yep. And then last, at least they ended. I mean, it was a billion years, but it was like the one thing about this that I was definitively excited by is a game called Immortality that is the next Sam Barlow game, the guy that made Her Story and Telling Lies.
Oh yeah, Telling Lies.
That we played. And so the whole idea of here is that like it's like this fictitious actress that made these 3 movies that never got released, and then like you're gonna probably go through like the footage from those movies and find a thing, because that's the thing that this guy does apparently.
Yeah, the guy loves that shit.
So which like all they really showed were these movie trailers and then it's just some text, but I really like their fake movie trailers, and so far that guy has like he's got a good track record. So
I like those 2 games. Those I was a big fan of Her Story was one that I played with because of Roberto. He's the one who introduced me to that. And then I played Telling Lies with you.
Yeah.
And every single one of them, we always found interesting. So
Yeah. And that, shit, is the end of day 2, or part 2.
the Randy Pitchford attack.
Attack of the Pitchford. Pitchford versus Baker. Day 2. Yeah, that was it. A lot of the PC gaming show, I mean, again, it's just like, there's just so much of it that is like,
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to say? You know, good stuff to be sure. The standout, of course, for today is Guardians.
Yeah.
Like,
Guardians
started with the best.
was the most exciting thing that happened of these things that we've talked about.
Yep.
Which is not to disparage any of the other things in there, except for Randy Pitchford himself.
Yeah.
We'll disparage the shit out of Randy Pitchford.
Apparently. Well, you know, Michael.
Make another Duke Nukem, you coward.
We've the first day, poor Bryce and I went for 2.5 hours. We still have like 15 minutes before we would even hit the 2-hour mark. Anything else from E3 that you want to talk about before we go? Or we just want to wrap it up and say we're not going to. I already talked about overlong shows on the internet with hosts that are trying to be way too funny and stretching their jokes too far. So,
Am I allowed to just talk about something from Nintendo real quick?
talk about something from Nintendo real
I
quick.
want to talk about Kazuya from being put into Smash Brothers.
That's good. Matt and I are talking about Nintendo tomorrow, and I doubt that either one of us have the Tekken chops. So yeah, talk about Kazuya.
So Kazuya is one of my favorite fighting game characters of all time because he's one of the few fighting game pro tags that starts off as a really good guy and then just spirals into super bad guy.
Okay.
And there's nothing better to prove that point than to watch him throw people into volcanoes over and over again.
It was pretty fun.
And that's my favorite. Like I love the fact that like the gag that was going on in the internet is that we're getting Tekken Cross Street Fighter finally.
Oh, right. Sure.
Because like it's the second time Kazuya gets to fight Ryu. Like, as well as the fact that now Kazuya is going to fight all of Smash Brothers, and I'm very excited about that because I wish there was a story to these games because I would love to see the idea of Kazuya showing up in this colorful world going, I'm going to murder everything here.
Yeah. How do you feel he's going to, I guess, Street Fighter Cross Tekken translated him into a 2D environment, right?
Yes, they translated him into a kind of a Street Fighter sort of vibe.
We'll know in a little bit because Mr. Sakurai was talking about there's going to be a whole presentation with him like they do for all the characters.
Yeah.
But how do you think they're going to try to translate some of the 3D-ness of Tekken into the 2D space? Or do you think they're just going to forget about it?
I think they're going to use a lot of the stuff from Street Fighter Cross Tekken, like some of that layout, because of his movesets were very much like a Street Fighter sort of way of doing your moves instead of the Tekken kind of way.
Okay.
And I feel like they're going to use some of that to make him work in a 2D setting again.
Okay.
As well as the fact that his devil thing is clearly probably works the same way as Sephiroth's one wing is, where if you take enough damage, you're going to gain access to Devil Kazuya.
Yeah.
As well as the fact that they added his 10-hit fucking combo, which is not something that like you see in a Smash Brothers game very often, is a combo that lasts longer than 3 hits.
Right.
So I'm really excited to see how a 10-hit combo will change the dynamic of the fighting in Smash Brothers. So I just want to talk about how cool that is. Plus the fact that based on this trailer, they got the announcer for Tekken to say all this stuff for Kazuya, which I think is fucking fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've never been the biggest Tekken guy in the entire world, but it's kind of cool. Do you want to, before we wrap up, do you want to speculate wildly about who is the last pick in the Fighters Pack 2? Because there's one left.
Yeah, let's do that real quick.
You want to do that? Let's review. It's been
everybody's money is still on Crash Bandicoot. Everyone keeps expecting it. Which is why people were disappointed again in this one. There's always the weird guy in the back who's saying the Doomslayer is supposed to be a thing.
I wanted to see how many downvotes. There are 4K downvotes, which I assume are all Smash Brothers fans, because if they announce something for Smash Brothers, they get a downvote. If they don't announce something for Smash Brothers, they get a downvote.
I kept laughing because there were people on like Twitter and stuff where they're like, put some anime ass bullshit. I'm like, motherfucker, this is Kazuya you were fucking talking about. This dude will rip your goddamn spine off and then throw you off a volcano.
They've never actually had any have they ever had any straight up non-video game characters in there? They're all from other franchises.
They're all from something specific, as far as I know. I can't think of any of them that would be something that's not a game.
What if it was just a Call of Duty guy?
That would be terrible. I would laugh so hard if that turned out to be a thing.
One of the operators from Black Ops 3 or whatever that nobody fucking gives a shit about. Like, oh, it's your favorite fucking techno from Black Ops 3.
If it's anybody, it would be Soap.
Oh,
I bet you.
Yeah.
I would love for a Battlefield Bad Company character to show up, though. That would be amazing.
I was trying to think.
Everyone keeps trying to say Doomslayer, but I'm like, I don't really want Doomslayer to show up in this game. Although I kind of do at the same time, only because I would like to see what they would do with something insane like that.
I mean, Doomslayer's a ranged combat guy. Like,
well, that's why I'm curious is if they did something like that, like what would they do? Because you saw what they did with Solid Snake,
right?
Where they gave like a lot of his long range stuff was just like turned into short range explosions,
sure,
kind of thing. But I don't know. Like, there's so many things out there, game wise, because this is the first time I think in Smash Brothers where I'm like, I don't know who's going to be next. Mm-hmm. Because in old time Smash Brothers, a lot of it was like, well, it's probably going to be another Fire Emblem character, and then it was, and then even in this game there were some Fire Emblem characters that appeared, but then fucking Sephiroth showed up. And Cloud, I remember even when Cloud showed up in the last one. Yeah. Like, we were just like, well, I don't know what's happening anymore. Right. Because before it was always just like another Nintendo character. And then you got fucking Terry goddamn Bogard, who's my favorite. Just shows up. Fucking a guy from Persona shows up. Yeah, Joker. And then fucking, like, Steve from Minecraft shows up. Right. And now you have Kazuya showing up. Yeah. And you're just like, it's anybody's fucking game now. Other than, like there's no... Like, there's no way, like, they're going to put Goku or something in this fucking thing. As many times as people are going to be like, you should put Goku in this game. They're not going to fucking put Goku into this goddamn thing. I don't know. You know what, though? Like, didn't, this is Bandai Namco published Kakarot? They do. They got, like, Pac-Man. They got some Bandai Namco stuff in there, right? Yeah, they got Pac-Man. Or no, that's not Bandai Namco. Yeah, they got Pac-Man and they got Kazuya now. Oh, right, right. That's part of the Bandai Namco Tekken. I'm with you where, like, some people want Solaire in there, and I'm just like, I don't really see the point. I mean, Solaire would actually probably make for a good character in here because... But then the thing is that you guys would be kind of interesting, though. Like, Dark Souls isn't as much about, like, flashy magic, right? And Solaire doesn't use magic, so... Yeah. But the thing is, like, we just don't know. Like, we really don't know who's coming next. I'm sticking with my boy... I think they should put Zagreus in there. I really do. I think Zagreus would be a great addition to the Smash lineup. He would be fantastic. I would love Zagreus to show up. You could get him in there like with the so fucking badly the art style, and then the gods coming in with like random boons that drop over the course of the match and stuff like that. Zagreus is a great choice. Yeah, like I'm sure people will give him shit for maybe being another sword character, right? Because that's the gag right now. But he's not, right? He's got all the different weapons, so he wouldn't necessarily be just like it depends sword. On what they do with it, really. If they did it, kind of thing. What if it's just Reggie Fils-Aimé? I would pay for the Challenger pack again, just for Reggie. Like scanned in like Street Fighter the movie, just to be sideways. I would play that so much. And he has to have like his super has to be like my body's ready. And right. This huge like fucking long combo murder kind of thing. Just Reggie is the last. I would spend so much money on just like last character, like, and just actually, like, I don't care, like, he can't look like a me or something. It's got to literally be him, right? Like, full, like pictures of him, detailed as possible. Yeah, like I want that motherfucker to look like he came out of a PS5 kind of thing. It's a fight like Mario to the death. Yep, I agree. Well, we've done the rampant speculation, and we covered it, man. When you walked in my door, I was like, I don't think we're gonna get through all this. We totally got through it all. So I hope you all have enjoyed day 2 or part 2 or whatever. It's fucking late and I'm tired. Part 2. The 2est of E3 podcasts. 2E3 Furious. 2021 E3. We have one more part. Matt's gonna be back for some Nintendo and let's see what his wild speculations will be for Smash.
Oh, it's just a T-Rex. It's the wild speculation for Smash. Yeah. Check out more from Michael over at oneofus.net. Anything else you want to tell the people before we go? No, I guess usually I say, where could people find you? But I can't really think of anything. Been recording all day today. So. Just look out for all the stuff that we come out with for oneofus.net.
as well as all the stuff that we come out with here on Rage Like.
Sure. Yeah, you can go to Patreon if you want. I'm not even going to tell you where. You can find it. You find it.
No, you
anyway,
can find it.
That's it. Bye.
A huge pack of monsters in a giant stampede. They attack the village in a frenzied rage. Nobody knows why this happens, but it came close to wiping out our village last time.